Evening, all of you who have joined us. And most of you know I'm Rochelle Lieberman, and along with Dave Mellon and our fantastic team of very, very great consultants, we'd like to welcome you to our exciting series of Gateways Amazing Destinations. So in the 30 years we've been in business, we really never have done anything like this before, but we figured this is a great time to connect with our clients, and especially in people that are wanting to travel again, to know what's going on to get those travel juices flowing again. So tonight we are going to be presenting South Africa, and each of you that are on the call know that our agents have so much expertise and
No
knowledge.
tides now. No tides.
Has so much expertise and knowledge that they can help you get to anywhere that's on your bucket list. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Murray Gardner, who is the CEO and one of the owners of Gilt Edge, who has so graciously said, I'll do it. And even though it's 11 o'clock in Cape Town, he's going to be on with us presenting this wonderful destination. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat box and Murray will answer them at the end. And Dave, do you have anything else without any?
No, that's it. So we just muted everyone just to try to help with the background noise again. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, and then we'll get it over to Murray so he can answer it, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Rochelle. Appreciate that lovely introduction. Dave, if you could just make me the host so I can just share my screen. Okay, there you go. Thanks very much. Let me just share my screen quickly. Okay. All right, hopefully you can all see that. As Rochelle mentioned, I am based in Cape Town. We have a company called Gilt Edge Africa, and we are Gateway Travel's partner on the ground. And the reason for having a partner is, as when you arrive in Africa, we are here to meet and greet you. We are with you from start to finish, and we make sure that your trip runs seamlessly. So we do cover the whole of Southern and East Africa, but today we will be focusing specifically on South Africa. South Africa is a very diverse, and it's one of the best countries to visit. I'm not sure how many of you have been to Africa before, but usually people say they want to go to Africa. They say, should I go to Southern or should I go to East Africa first? We generally say Southern Africa, and South Africa specifically, just because it's such a diverse country with so much different things to offer. We've got the beautiful city of Cape Town on the west coast with the Cape Winelands. And then up north, you've got the Safari and the Kruger National Park and the Sabi Sands. And in between that, you can do as you can see, there's a train that runs between Cape Town and Pretoria. So there's lots to offer. And it's a very colorful nation. Anything from, mountain climbing to botanical to sea, we've got everything to offer in South Africa. One of the good things about South Africa, a lot of the other countries in Southern and East Africa are quite seasonal. South Africa is generally a good destination to visit all year round. Summer months are warm, temperatures ranging between 70 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, depending where you're traveling. And our winters are fairly mild. The evenings can get cold when you're on safari, down to about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, but the days can get back up to 90 degrees. So yeah, that's a great thing. And a lot of you have different times of the year you can travel. So there's no limitation which time of the year you can visit South Africa. I'm just going to talk through a few different options in terms of what you can do when you come to South Africa and how you can travel. I know a lot of you probably have families, and this is the ultimate multi-generational destination. There's things to do from your families, from the older generation to the young kids. And we always say Africa is a good destination to take young kids to. It really has a profound effect on them. It's getting them away from all electronics, iPads and iPhones, and getting them out to nature. seeing how Africans live and just getting them away from all the mod cons and the big city. And it has a profound effect on families and a great way to travel as a group. It's also an unbelievable destination for honeymooners. And people who want to travel on not just honeymooners, but anniversaries or any special occasions. You can see the wonderful options available. You can do a tree house in one of the bush lodges. You can go to the beach. So you have that diversity of wine, food, and then bush.
Murray, I'm going to stop you for a minute because
Sure.
on my screen, does everybody have the pictures on their screen? I don't have anything actually. Leader in the,
I see them.
you see them?
Yes.
Yeah, can you see that one? It says reservations for 2. Can you see it, Dave?
Yes.
No, I don't see them. Okay.
Okay.
You
We
muted-
had a question come
He
in,
muted, he
Murray.
muted everybody.
Sure. Yeah. If anybody wants to interrupt me during the conversation, please do.
So
Yeah,
wait,
what is-
Dave, should I go back out and come back in again or what?
You can try that, yes.
Because
I'll
that-
let you back in.
Okay.
So, Mary, the question came in, I believe, as to how young, are there minimum age requirements for the camps or for this trip?
So what's happened over the years is, Rochelle, I'll just carry on talking if you want to come in and out. A lot of the camps have become really family orientated. So a lot of them have private villas to cater for young kids of any ages. And the nice thing is also areas within South Africa that are malaria free. I know a lot of people are worried about taking their children into areas where there is malaria. And if I just quickly jump back up to the map of South Africa, generally the northern parts up here has malaria. And then there are other options to do malaria-free safaris around here in the Northwest Province and then down in the Eastern Cape. So that's great to know for young kids if people are worried about that. The malaria is very low risk in South Africa. And if you're traveling in the months of June, July, August, and September, which is our winter months, there's very little to worry about because there's very little mosquitoes around. Generally, most lodges would let kids of about the age of 5 go on safari with everybody else. Otherwise, I do find the younger kids tend to get a little bit bored and interrupt game drives. What they will do is if you take sole use of a vehicle.
And they don't really like the sundowners.
Yeah. So yeah, if you take sole use of a vehicle, and generally you would, because you would be probably a family of 6. Normally you only have 6 people on a game vehicle. You'd be able to take any age of a kid on safari. So yeah, I mean, the destination is geared for families, and obviously younger kids probably won't remember a safari, but yeah, any ages are welcome. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, and as I mentioned, it's a great destination for honeymooners, people wanting to celebrate anniversaries or any special occasions. So yeah, you can travel as 1, 2, or up to 10 or 12. It's up to you. South Africa's food is unbelievable. It's in the Cape Winelands, which is sort of our culinary capital of South Africa. The diversity of food is really amazing, caters to all tastes. We have influences from around the world, French, Indian. So it's definitely something which would be a highlight throughout your trip. Cape Town has many of the top restaurants in South Africa, and also in the top 50 in the world. We've got the Test Kitchen in Cape Town, which is one of the top 50 restaurants in the world. Again, we cater for all sort of special interests. So whether it be food again, or wellness, botanical, or if you're interested in photography, art, we are geared up to look after you there. We have specialist guides. So it's very important when you do go through to one of the advisors at Gateway Travel, tell them your interests, and then we'll make sure when you come to Cape Town that we pair you with a guide that is a foodie or wine guru, and make sure that you have that experience that you are wanting to experience. Rochelle, are you back in again? I just have to see, I have to admit you
Just
again.
got back in, yeah.
Okay, can you see my page or not?
I can, yes.
Okay, good, great. And then another very important part, I think, about traveling to Africa is giving back. So we have a program called Travel with a Purpose. And this is about, it's not about going to a township or an orphanage and just taking pictures of kids and that. It's actually going there to give back. So if you're a teacher, you can go teach at a school for a day. If you're a doctor, for example, you can go and work in a local clinic. If you're a vet, you can go dart a rhino, as in that picture below there, or even just go to school and read to kids. So it's very much about giving back to the community. And we set up a program that's completely customized. Again, it's important to tell your travel advisor, if you are interested in doing something with regard to philanthropy, that we understand exactly what you want to achieve from it. If you're traveling with a family, what you want your kids to achieve from it. And we make sure that we tailor make your experience for you. You can visit various organizations. We've got some fantastic places where you can visit and amazing people that can tell you their stories and what they've done in their local communities. And then conservation is obviously vitally important when you visit Africa. Sorry to see there's somebody else. I just need to try it here. Hopefully they got it. Yeah, so conservation is obviously vitally important when you visit Africa. We support a foundation called Community Conservation Fund Africa. And this is all about supporting the communities around the game reserves. And the reason why that is so important is if you don't look after the communities around the game reserves, the animals aren't going to be protected. You're going to have poaching and stuff like that. So every booking that you make through Gateway Travel, that book with us, we contribute a certain amount of your costs to this foundation, and we make sure that we can give back. And again, you can visit one of the programs that they support, and we can set that up for you. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned right in the beginning, it's such a diverse destination, South Africa. There's so much to offer and unique experiences. I think moving into the COVID world, people want to have unique experiences. They don't want to go where the crowds are. And that is our duty as DMC to assist the advisors and understand exactly what you want to do, get out of your trip, and put a unique experience for you as either as a couple or as families, and make it something really special, whether it be canoeing or, as I say, just going out and to spend a night in a tree house, as you can see in that picture, whether it be food, it's all going to be unique to yourself. It has a very unique experience here, and as I mentioned in that one picture where I'll show you could go from Cape Town to Pretoria on a train. This is Rovos Rail. Where in the world can you stand at the back of a train and see animals on your doorstep? I was actually at this property on Thursday last week, enjoying a barbecue on the beach. This is a property near Cape Town. So again, just one of those unique experiences where you can just go onto a beach, have a barbecue with your family, privately, with guides. Activities in Cape Town. Most people, when they come into South Africa, Cape Town would be your first stop. We always recommend that you do the city and perhaps the winelands first before you go onto safari. And the good thing about Cape Town is there's many direct flights coming in from either Europe and the US. So you can get flights straight into Cape Town, start your trip here, and it is such an amazing city. A lot of people want to do two or 3 nights. It's a city where you can actually spend 4 or 5 nights in. I think what we're also going to see sort of post-COVID is people sort of slowing down their trips, maybe going to less properties and actually really immersing themselves in the destination and not just jumping every 2 nights to different places. And Cape Town is one of those spots. It's just, as I say, you can see all the pictures there. There's amazing art scene. The beaches are beautiful. If you're into hiking, you can climb mountains. You can do a township tour. And obviously there's some wine region, which is close by. Then there's obviously Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was in prison for many years. During the whale season, which is from August to October, you can see whales in the bay. The V&A waterfront, which is this picture at the bottom here, has some amazing restaurants and beautiful views of the city of Cape Town. And then once again, beautiful beaches. And then this is just one of the sites in Cape Town called Boulders Beach, where you can see the penguins and spend the day out there. one of the unique activities we do here is, rather than being with the crowds on the decks here, we can arrange for you to go on a stand-up paddleboard or in canoes and actually come in from this side and paddle around the bay with the penguins. So again, we try to create those unique experiences for you when you travel. And then, yeah, just going out in a luxury boat. And then this little doggy here, he goes on what we call the Cape Sidecars. So again, this is a tour where we can put together where we get somebody to ride a motorbike around the Cape Peninsula. And yeah, it's just a different way of seeing the peninsula rather than sitting in a minibus for the day. You can get onto a little motorbike with an experienced rider and then see the coast in a different way. And I've just got this was one of the properties in the Cape Winelands, and the reason I put it up here is a lot of people say, oh, I'm traveling with my family, my kids. I don't want to go out to the winelands and just do wine. Our Cape Wine region is a lot more than just wine. There's some amazing restaurants out there. This farm, for example, is a working farm. You can go pick fresh produce. They've got, they make honey and jams and stuff like that. So you can really get your kids to immerse themselves in a local farm with little animals like goats and sheep and stuff like that. So the Cape Winelands can definitely be done with families, and we always recommend that you spend at least a couple of nights out there. It is about an hour's drive from Cape Town. So definitely worth including in the itinerary. And then obviously the main reason people come down to Africa is safari. We're very blessed in South Africa to have many unbelievable lodges catering for the ultra luxe clients down to somebody who wants something a little bit less luxurious. Game viewing is phenomenal. And yeah, you'll definitely see the big five, which is your lion, elephant, leopard, rhino, and buffalo, and have amazing close-up experiences. You can just see some of the pictures. The Sabi Sands, which is adjacent to the Kruger National Park in the northern part of South Africa, has probably the best leopard viewing in the world. You could probably see 3 or 4 leopards on a game drive, which is just an unbelievable experience if you've never had the opportunity to do a safari before. And just some of the beautiful vistas when you're out there. And they always keep you warm. This is just a rainy day. They'll have punchos, and it's all very luxurious. You do unique lunches and dinners in riverbeds. The cuisine is amazing, and then obviously beautiful sundowners on safari. And then obviously we spoke about South Africa today, but you can extend your trip. Adjacent countries being Botswana, Zambia. Obviously one of the iconic destinations is the Victoria Fall, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So that's very easy if you want to extend your trip. If you've done 12 nights in South Africa, 10 or 12 nights, and you want to end off your trip with 2 nights or 3 nights at Victoria Falls, that's very easy to organize. Just talking about COVID at the moment, at the moment, we're probably saying if you want to travel sort of in the next 6 months, it might be easier just to stay to one destination. So I would say just travel to South Africa or do Botswana on its own, just because you'd have to have multiple COVID tests between the countries. So that's just something to bear in mind. So to keep the logistics a little bit more simple, it probably makes sense to keep it to one destination at the moment. Zimbabwe again would be also doing the Victoria Falls. And then Namibia is, if you're a photographer, you can see the beautiful pictures there. It's just unbelievable with some of the highest dunes in the world, and the vistas just been incredible. Yeah, so thank you for your time and interest. I'm sure there must be many questions. South Africa is, as I said, a very diverse country, has a lot to offer, caters for sort of, as I said, all sort of types of people, whether it be honeymooners all the way through to multi-generational travel. It's very safe at the moment. Our COVID numbers are low at the moment. I know there's obviously been some negative talk about the South African variant, but as I'm sure we all know, that's interesting. I don't know if you can see that picture. That's not sure what's happening there. The South African variant, but there are variants all around the world. We've had multiple clients travel to South Africa in the last 6 months. We've had travel advisors travel, and they've had wonderful trips. Our COVID precautionary measures at the lodges and properties you visit are very stringent. And I think a lot of Americans that have been here said it's far better than, they feel safer here than they feel in America. So I know a lot of you probably only want to travel down the line, but it's a good time to travel now if you can. And the reason I say that is because the lodges are quiet, so we can get nice upgrades for you. You can probably have sole use of a vehicle because there's just very few clients traveling. So that's one benefit of traveling now. And also the airlines, I think if you want to use mileage points, for example, it's a lot easier to get those now because it's just less people traveling. And I would say if you want to travel in 2022, you need to start looking at that now because obviously a lot of people have postponed from 2020 and 2021 into 2022. So we're having to fit 2 years into one. So availability is starting to become a problem. It's not a problem yet. So if you want to do this bucket list trip, get chatting to the Gateway travel advisors as soon as possible because it's a good time to start planning. We have really relaxed COVID terms and conditions. And yeah, we'd love to host you out here and let you visit our beautiful country. So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Yeah.
Well, before we do that, let's say, Dave,
Yes,
are you still there?
I am here.
So we did an African safari with our family a few years ago. And we thought we'd show you a couple of pictures to show you multi-generational and how it works with the
Yeah, so I was going to make Dave the host again, if I could just find him on my screen. Okay, Dave, you should be the host again.
Okay.
So you want to tell them or you want me to?
This is South Africa.
Yeah. This is our day that we went all the way down to the Cape of Good Hope, and we had kids from all ages, and it was such a great experience to all be together and share this time.
Yeah. How old was Colette at that time? She 5?
I think so, 5 or 6.
The youngest in the group is 5 or 6. So no issues.
Yeah, how did you find that going on safari with a young kid? I'm sure it was fine, as I mentioned.
Yeah, we didn't really have any. There was only one situation where we came across some rhinos that just had a baby, and she started kind of making, meaning our baby, started making some noises and not being quiet. So we had to back the car away just not to scare the mother rhino.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was no issues at all. Just the excitement in their eyes just to be standing, next to an elephant that close. It was just an amazing experience.
This is a picture of our day hiking in the winelands. And, when Murray just said, the winelands is more than having wine. And so we had a lot of activities there. We were in a couple of houses next door to each other, and we had activities during the day. And this is one of our hikes, right through the vineyards. It was fantastic. And this is a fabulous lunch that Dave can tell you about. He loved it. And
this is the partaking after the hike.
Right.
As Mary, you mentioned, this was at drawing a blank on the vineyard, but we had a lunch there. And when the adults were doing some tastings afterwards, they had I believe it was an owl. So you could go take the kids and the owl would sit on their head and on their hat arms. And they had quite a bit of activities to keep the younger children occupied.
Exactly. That may have been Spear. Was that Spear?
Yeah, that's where it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was one of our rainy days. And this is my husband and I with all of our grandkids. And what a great memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this is my favorite.
It's an unbelievable picture.
Yeah. And so these are the things that you want them to remember. And I think that our kids, always bring up something that happened funny or whatever that they want to talk about from the safari.
I think also what we find with kids, they go back and they want to do like a little presentation at school and tell their friends about it. So they collect things and they ask the rangers about stuff, and then they go back with like a little project and tell their friends at school. So it's always nice to get them sort of immersed and excited. And a lot of the rangers are really good at that when they're on safari.
The rangers were great. I believe they had like a scavenger package for a while in camp. So they kept them occupied in the down times as well. So there was definitely no concern about the kids not being occupied. But we do have a handful of questions that came in.
Cool.
Someone was more so the vineyards right now. Are there any restrictions in terms of tastings, or are there any tours that are not running due to the COVID?
No, at the moment, in touch wood, everything is open. We did have an alcohol ban in South Africa for a month or so. But yeah, no, everything is open. There's no restrictions. There is a curfew in place, but it's from, I think, 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 4 a.m. So hopefully you won't be out that late. Other than that, everything is pretty much open at the moment in South Africa. Obviously, we know these things can change pretty quickly, but we hope not. But no, there's no restrictions. And as I mentioned, the COVID protocols at each of these places are very stringent. So if you go to a winery or restaurant, they take your temperature before you go in. You've got to sanitize. And then they also let limited amount of people in. So you're never going to go into a packed restaurant or winery at the moment.
Okay.
So it can only be 50%.
Activities, shark diving. Is shark diving something that there was a report the other year that the sharks were leaving? Are the sharks back? And is shark diving coming back around? And what's the best time to go for shark diving?
So shark diving can pretty much do year round. So what chased them away was the orcas. So the orcas came down here and started killing the great whites. They would eat their livers.
Right.
So yeah, basically overnight they all disappeared. From having all these sharks all over the place, there was absolutely nothing. They have started moving back, and they are in a sort of destination about 2 hours from Cape Town called Gansbaai. And you can go out. It's pretty much a half-day activity, which is available. So at the moment the sharks are around, but again, nature can change.
Okay. You mentioned Vic Falls for doing 2 or 3 nights at Vic. Is there a difference in the animals that you're viewing from a South African safari to the Vic Falls?
Yeah, so Victoria Falls is more about actually obviously seeing the Victoria Falls itself. I wouldn't specifically do a safari right at Victoria Falls. It's a lot more commercial. So if you want to go there and do obviously see the falls, and if you're into your sort of action sports, you can do bungee jumping, you can do whitewater rafting, you can do gorge swinging. So there's quite a lot of those sort of activities. Hence the reason we say probably only you want to spend there 2, maybe 3 nights maximum. And then you would move on to safari. Generally, people would go to Botswana thereafter, and then do the Delta. So you'd have more of a water-based safari. You could do that in the Chobe or in the Delta. As I mentioned, the challenge at the moment with that is, going through multi-country, just with the amount of COVID tests. You don't want to end up having several COVID tests along the way. So I would say maybe stick to 2 countries at the moment. And in South Africa, you can do multiple safaris too. So you don't have to do just one safari in the Kruger National Park. You can do 2 safaris in 2 different lodges sort of in that area, which will give you a complete different experience from a topography, vegetation, and game viewing experience, or 2 different parts of South Africa. So if you have the time, we always suggest doing 2 safaris in 2 different parts of the country to get a different experience, or combining it with Botswana.
Okay. And is there a particular time of year that's better in terms of animal viewing or activity?
As I mentioned earlier on, South Africa is generally good all year round with game viewing. So generally the winter months are better just because obviously the vegetation is less. You have a bit of frost and that, so the grass is short, so you can see the animals a bit better. But there's so much game in the Kruger National Park and Sabi Sands, and also the malaria-free game reserves in the Eastern Cape and the Northwest Province. but yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say for South Africa, you have to worry what time of the year you want to go. If you want to go to Botswana, for example, the better months are your sort of from about now, May through till October. That's your best months for Botswana, and then East Africa is also a bit more seasonal. But for South Africa, all year round, unless you want to do beach, obviously our winter months in South Africa being from around about June through to September, the temperatures are a bit cooler, but Cape Town can still be in the 70s and 80s. But if you want to do specifically a beach, obviously that's not the best time of the year to do it.
Okay. That's what we had for questions. I don't know if anyone else has any questions. Shoot them in the chat. We could always open up the mics. If not, we're about our 35 minute time frame that we're hoping to stay within. If there's no other questions.
I just want to mention also that South Africa is also great value for money. The exchange rate sitting around about 15 to 1 on the US dollar. So your bang for buck goes a lot further in South Africa. So yeah, so just bear that in mind. Is if you want to do sort of a more high-end luxury safari, South Africa is a really good destination for that, because it's just such good value for money, and especially when you go out to restaurants in Cape Town and the Cape Winelands. You know, a good meal is inexpensive when you convert it, and a wine and that is really also inexpensive. So just a reminder on that, good value for money to travel to South Africa.
I do remember when we were in the Winelands, we went out to dinner and we were choosing a bottle of wine with our little conversion factor. And we said, wait, we can't buy a $7 bottle of wine. It's not going to be good, but you know, it's amazingly good value and good quality for the price. So you go out and buy a $5 bottle of wine for dinner, enjoy it. It's funny.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, Murray, I want to
Can you tell us where those red dunes were located? There was a stunning shot of those red dunes. Could you tell us where that's located?
Namibia.
So it's Namibia, which is a country next to South Africa. I can't share my screen now, but yeah, that's Namibia. They've got some of the tallest dunes in the world in the Sossusvlei. So I said that's a photographer's dream, going to that country.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Murray, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and being on our program tonight. And everyone else, I want to just give you a heads up. Next month, we're doing Antarctica, and I hope you can join us for another exciting time and another exciting gateway destination.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Thanks. And thanks everybody for your interest in our destination. We're all hoping travel will come back sooner than later. I think some of you are mentioning that you couldn't go to many countries in the world. South Africa is open for American citizens. You just need a COVID test 72 hours before you travel. And obviously you need one when you go back to America. So we're open and we're ready to welcome you here when you are ready to travel.
Thank you.
I think we have it. Thank you.
Matt, thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
And everybody else, thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It was
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It was a great experience. I appreciate all you did, Murray.
Any pleasure, and thanks for your time.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We loved it.
Thank you. Okay.
Guess we can leave now.
Dave?
Okay, well, thanks, Rochelle and Dave. Hopefully that was all
Thank
right.
you, Murray. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I'll talk to you later, Murray, and let you know what some comments and any other questions. Okay.
Pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.